Hello, good evening. Welcome to the Call It As You See It podcast. This is a podcast I'll be curating contents regarding football and other sports activities. It's a historic day as our first shoot, and my name is Hafiz Galacticos Abdusalam. Today we'll be previewing the upcoming Champions League fixtures for April 8th, that's on Tuesday, and the fixture is between Arsenal and Real Madrid and Bayern Munich versus Inter Milan. So, as we all know, the only time Real Madrid and Arsenal has played was in the 2006 Champions League round of 16, where Thierry Henry scored an historic goal in the 1-0 victory at the Santiago Bernabeu. That's the first time an English side had ever knocked out Real Madrid in the Champions League. And in that very year, Arsenal went on to the final but lost 1-2 to FC Barcelona. So, going into this fixture, we know Arsenal has been losing some important players in their lineup. Players like Gabriel, who happens to be one of the centre back pairing, is out of that fixture. Although they've been getting some players back, like Bukayo Saka, who happens to be the star boy of that team. They've lost they've lost all their strikers, whether it's Kai Havertz or whether it's Gabriel Jesus. They do not have any striker for now, so they've been managing to play Mikel Merino, who is the central midfielder in that position. And so far, so good. He scored about 5 goals in 9 games so far. He's done well for himself, but do they have enough to beat the Real Madrid side? Now, this is just to put out Arsenal at 20 games unbeaten run. They have a 20 games unbeaten run against top 6 sides in the Premier League. That is how good they have been. Sometimes they've had to do it ugly or win ugly, but it counts for them. As I think against the big sides, they've been able to hold their own. Now they just got Saka back a few days ago, like 2 fixtures ago, and he's been able to come to the party slightly. He scored in his first game back in the Premier League. That being said, do they have enough to beat a Real Madrid side? Real Madrid is not without its own problem. In fact, for me, this season Real Madrid has not beaten any top side in the league or in the Champions League. The only team they've beaten was the second half comeback against Borussia Dortmund, and it's a Dortmund side that I would not categorize as a top side. They beat an ailing, declining Man City side in the Champions League and playoffs, where they were able to win at the Etihad by 3 goals to 2 and coming to the Santiago Bernabeu to win 3 goals to 1. I do not read that victory because Man City is a declining side. Every big side has beaten Man City this season, just as even the Arsenal football team beat Man City by 5 goals to 1, which I do not rate also because we're talking about a Man City side that has been in a drastic decline. Now, going into this fixture, Madrid are also they've also had their injury problems from the beginning of the season. Having Alaba just coming back from an arterial cruciate ligament after 13 months out, he's just coming back, and the Brazilian Militao he's been out with an anterior cruciate ligament. He's been out for some months now. So because of that, they've had to discover in Raul Asensio, who has come in and done a stellar job. Although that they missed one of their captains, Dani Carvajal, who by my own ratings or standard of general acclaim is amongst the, should I say, top 3 right backs in the world. So he is also in a long-term injury, and since then they've been trying to shoehorn Vasquez into the side as a right back, and against the big side he has really been torn to shreds. He has really been made to look like a 33-year-old and not your typical defender. Now, kudos to Raul Asensio, who was given his chance and he grabbed it, but like his life depends on it. He's just a 22-year-old from Real Madrid Castilla, and he's coming and slotted in admirably alongside Rudiger. Ferland Mendy has been in and out of the squad due to injury. Frank Garcia has not been reliable as a left back, so we've had times where Aurelien Tchouameni was brought in as a makeshift centre back, and in games that have been top side, Tchouameni and Vasquez have not been able to hold their own against top sides. So they've been made to pay the price with top sides getting victories against Real Madrid. in the last league game against Valencia, who had not scored in one calendar year. Valencia had not scored an away goal. No, had not had an away victory in one calendar year. The Valencia football team came in and nicked a 2-1 victory against Real Madrid side. The Real Madrid side that is vying for the La Liga, and with that, they are now 4 points behind FC Barcelona. But going into these fixtures, I think Madrid has a lot of star power and firepower to just get them through. I would have loved to see both sides with full team and full pelt going at each other with full capacity, all in form, going into this fixture and seeing who is going to come out victorious. But it's football and anything can happen. Now, Arsenal football team have their problems also. They've been in the league, they drew against Everton today. They've not been they've not been as good as what they used to be in the last 2 seasons, where they beat most of the sides and only to come up short against the Man City team. So this season, for instance, there are 11 points adrift of Liverpool. For me, the league is a foregone conclusion. It has been foregone since December of 2024. So all they have to play for, and they're out of all the competition, all they have to play for now is the Champions League. So it's probably now or never for them to get a trophy this year. But I do not see them beating Real Madrid. So for me, where would the key battles be won and lost? I think in the midfield. In the midfield and in attack, one-on-one battles, maybe Bukayo Saka against a Finland Mendy or a Frank Garcia. Bukayo Saka is just coming off from an injury. If Mendy comes into the side, he will also be coming in from an injury spell. So I do not know how fit he would be to match Bukayo Saka, who was also coming back from injury. That battle seems like an interesting one, and we would love to see the outcome. Now going back to the central defense against Arsenal's supposed number 9, who would be Merino. I don't see Merino having a shot on target against the Real Madrid defense line. Central back pairing of Rudiger and Raul Asensio. Now in the right back, I see where Ancelotti will be deploying Mr. Utility, that's Federico Valverde, the Falcon of Uruguay. I do not see how Gabriel Martinelli will be having a joy on that side. Now going to the other side of Real Madrid's attack against Arsenal defense. Arsenal without a recognized left back, and they've been using the young lad called Skelly. So I do not see how Skelly is going to, should I use the word pocket, or be able to give Rodrigo an off day. And I look at an Arsenal central back who probably will have a cue come stepping in for the injured Gabriel, pairing William Saliba. I do not see how long they are going to keep Kylian Mbappe quiet in that fixture. So it's going to be an interesting one to see. And the most interest for me is in the right back of Arsenal, right side of defense of Arsenal, which will be manned by Jurriën Timber. He's a very decent defender, I must say, and he's had his own fair share of injuries where he came from a long time out having an ACL, and this season he has been fantastic. But coming up here, I bet you he has never come up against an opposition like Vinicius Junior. Even though Vinicius Junior has been in and out of form, he's not really come to the party this season, but he has the ability to turn it up when it matters. So I just see Madrid going through, doing enough to get through, not because they are overwhelming favorite, but because it's the Champions League. And when it's the Champions League, whether Madrid plays well or not plays well, they come out on top most times. So quickly, I want to delve into the other fixture, which is FC Bayern versus Inter Milan. So FC Bayern are about 6 points against their nearest rival, Bayern Leverkusen, who are the defending champions of the Bundesliga. Bayern Munich has been, I would not say very good, but they've been good in the Bundesliga this year. I must say, Vicente Kompany has done well for himself, going from a relegated Burnley to an FC Bayern Munich side this year, and has been able to hold his own. It looks like Harry Kane. He will be able to land the first major trophy in his professional career in his professional career. But that's not to say FC Bayern does not have that problem. Alfonso Davies got injured in the Canadian with the Canadian national team in their last internationals, and their first choice goalkeeper Manuel Neuer has been injured for a while. And we also have Upamecano, who has also been injured for a while. Now, the most important player for me in FC Bayern Munich is Jamal Musiala, and he tore his hamstring in the last game against Wolfsburg, where Bayern beat Wolfsburg by 3 goals to 1. Jamal Musiala is a very talented player who has the ability to drift in between lines and find pockets of spaces and give the final passes to attackers. I think he'll be sorely missed, although he'll be replaced by the retiring Thomas Muller, who is 35 years old and has announced that he'll be retiring at the end of the season. So he'll be replaced. He'll be replacing Jamal Musiala. So going to the Inter side, Inter is around 4 points ahead of Napoli in the Serie A. They drew this weekend against the Parma side 2 goals to 2. They have their skipper coming back from injury, Lautaro Martinez, and their first choice goalkeeper Jan Sommer. Inter Milan has been a steady side since Simone Inzaghi took over. Let's not forget they were Serie A champions 2 seasons ago, and they were in the Champions League final against Man City. The Champions League that Man City won was against Inter Milan, and they were really lucky to nick that one against Inter Milan. So they are not scrub when it comes to European football. Last season was very surprising that Atletico Madrid would take them out in the round of 16. I was very surprised by that result, but Inter Milan are doing well for themselves this year. They are well in the Coppa Italia. They are in the Champions League, and are going to play against FC Bayern Munich, and they are topping the Bundesliga table by 4 points. And they look like FC Nerazzurri, that is of Inter Milan. They are topping the Serie A table by 4 points, and they look like they will be coasting home with the Serie A title. I don't know if Napoli sustaining that challenge in the end of the season. So against Bayern Munich, it's a tight one to call. I would think Inter Milan might just nick the tie overall, because I think Simone Inzaghi might have to show his more tactically astute than Vincent Kompany, even though they plays in a 3-5-2 formation. But I've seen FC Bayern Munich, use 4-2-3-1 or 4-3-3 sometimes in playing. That's usually Vincent Kompany's default formation. So overall, it's a fixture that is very tight to call, but I see FC Inter Milan, FC Internazionale nicking this one just by the whiskers. Just it's going to be a tight call. It's going to be a tight call. So if you've enjoyed this content, please like, subscribe, and share. Thank you very much for listening.